Changing Lives 365. I'm Dr. Rhonda Anderson, founder of A Scholar's Touch. I specialize in life, education, and business coaching.
I'm Kurinn Wright, founder of K Wright Coaching. I specialize in author, business, and life coaching. Today's topic on Changing Lives 365 is cross-marketing your brand.
Love it.
Love. The first thing we're going to talk about is, what is your brand? A lot of people look at different things such as what they put out there as far as print material or radio ads and different things like that. But what really we need to pay attention to is what's attractive about your brand. And if you're using your own image, that has to be something that's attractive to the audience that you're portraying. What is your target market? Who are your people that you want to shop your company?
That's right. You got to understand who will listen to you and who wants your particular product or service.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't know who your target market is, that's where you want to start with the research. I will give you an example. Dr. Rhonda and I started a company called I Inspire Entrepreneurs. It took us almost a year to put our faces on our company, and before that, a lot of people assumed that we were males. So they would refer to us as sir.
Yes.
And it's because the way we're branding ourselves at the time was just with the content. We wanted people to get good business advice from us, tips and information. So that's what we pushed on our social media pages, but we wanted to drive them back to the website.
And we knew that, when you're talking about giving business advice, most times advice like that comes from men. Yeah. So we wanted to gain the respect of our audience first.
And then we posted our pictures.
When
it
was
inevitable.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to make sure that when you're putting your face on your product, that you're branding yourself behind the scenes as well. Mm-hmm. So you can't be on social media doing different things that are not savory to the people that you're catering to, because you're not separate your business. You are your business. So what attractive qualities do you have that make people want to draw to your product or service? And I can tell you, one of the top things you need to consider is having a compelling story. And not as if you want to make that story up, because you don't want to make it up. You want to actually look at your journey. What did it take for you to get where you're going? If you don't have a compelling story, or if you're not putting things out there that jive with what it is that you're trying to portray to your audience, be careful that your audience create that story for you based on what they see.
And believe it or not, I think people really know when your story is genuine or when it's not. Yes. And if your story is very genuine, it's going to automatically connect with those customers, and they're going to want to buy from you.
Yes. A lot of times, by being an attractive person in spirit and personality, and in what you look like and how you represent yourself, people are compelled to come to you for your product. So you can have the same product that someone else has. Don't diminish your value in that product just because a certain audience may not be able to afford it. Stick to your brand. So using other things to get to the core of what it is you're trying to do. If you have another platform, for example, we have multiple platforms, and we use all of those platforms to market all of the products that we have. But it's because they all have a link, like a chain. Everyone supports the next. So we use them all to make sure that we're putting in front of people what we have to offer.
That's true. And, our businesses, they're gifts to the world, and it's something that we have to share because it's tied to our purpose. Most times our businesses are, and creating joint ventures with other companies is a great way for you to not only enhance your marketing ability, but also formulate those business partnerships that will help you take your business to another level. And it becomes even more attractive to people when you align yourself to the right person.
Exactly.
So how do we create a joint venture?
How do you create one? First, let's go back and rewind the tape. Align yourself with the right person or collaborators.
Love that.
Know their history, their background, their social media presence before you sign the dotted line to say we can do business together.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great tip, K. Wright.
Yes,
but like I said, you want to first find that business, like she said, and you want to make sure that it's a beneficial collaboration. So do your homework before you reach out to the person. Once you reach out to them and they say, yes, we want to work together, you guys agree, set up a time to set up a meeting, and you both discuss your services, your products together, and make sure that everybody understands what it is your company really is doing, and what's the value in it, and how are you attracting customers. So these are all the types of things that you want to discuss. So after you all come to a mutual beneficial agreement, then it's time to make a written agreement between one another, listing the expectations, because we've seen it and we've experienced it where if there's no contract in place, confusion can happen.
It can come up.
And it could cause that joint venture to go sour, which, you always want it to be a pleasant experience. So get it in writing. Everybody sign on the dotted line. And last but not least on that particular piece, you want to make sure that whatever you guys have agreed to with cross-marketing each other's businesses, that you want to be a businessman or woman of your word. There's nothing like going against your word. So if someone else is putting a lot of effort into marketing your social media or your product on their sites, you need to give back.
Make sure you're giving back, because sometimes it can become a little uneven, and people are sensitive, especially when you are an entrepreneur. Your business is like your baby, and you really get antsy sometimes when you see the effort and works that you're putting out there, but the other person or company may not be doing the same. So make sure that the agreement, if it's not going to be an equal exchange, make sure that it's one that both parties agree to, that you're okay with, however the marketing plan itself is panned out. So
So a few top cross-marketing tips that CL365 endorses. One, as an entrepreneur, you must learn how to cross-market your own products.
Absolutely.
A lot of times customers will come to you and say, well, I want XYZ service, and you give them XYZ service, but a lot of times entrepreneurs are missing extra money because they don't tell them about everything they offer. So when a client contacts you, make that an opportunity for you to sit there and tell them about everything that you do, because you never know. They come for that one service, but they're like, oh, wow, I need that extra service. Or, man, I have a friend who needs that extra service.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to add to that I actually had a client that wanted Arthur coaching. And as we continued our relationship, she later found out that I also do business coaching. I did not share my services with her at that time because I was so focused on what she came to me for, but that could have been a missed opportunity.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And once you do the joint venture agreement with the other companies that you're collaborating with, you can cross-market your products with the other companies' products with their team and what they're doing. So the other company can market your products and services. So that's another audience that you have access to now. Once you guys make that JV agreement, you guys can cross-market each other's, and that just enlarges your target audience.
It does. It builds an audience for you that you didn't intend on building.
Yes. Yeah. And another thing that you could do together when you do your joint venture is co-sponsor events. Events are a great way to show expertise, to share your products or services. And, you know, when you partner with people, it's a great way for you guys to bring your audiences together and even find new customers and teach them about what you do. And make sure that you're giving back some valuable information.
Always. I just want to add to the showing value piece that whatever the cost is of your product, it costs what it costs. Never diminish your product by lowering the value to give discounts to an audience that may not be able to afford what you offer. For example, the micro course store. Everyone cannot buy a micro course bag, but they do not discount their quality of their product by lowering the price just so everyone can afford it, because that product is not specifically for everyone. They have a target audience, and that audience, believe it or not, they're faithful customers that will return every season or every holiday special occasion, and they will purchase a new item from them. So when you put a price point on your product, make sure that the value represents your story that you have, the compelling story you have, your product. Everything needs to be in alignment, and just don't be afraid if someone can't afford it, because someone else can. So now you're putting yourself in position where if you have the right collaborators, that will be the company or companies that can help you propel your product to the next level without you having to take value away from it. So
that's right.
Definitely keep that in mind.
That's right. And a couple of other tips, you know, you can share them the expense for marketing ads.
Oh, yeah.
And doing social media marketing, you can share that cost, so that, you know, as opposed to paying $100 for, you know, a Facebook ad, now you're paying $50 because you're joint sharing that with your JV partner. Right. Last but not least, writing books with each other and creating new products together also is a great way to build each other's customer base for one another.
It is. That writing a book actually helps you brand yourself as the expert on the product or service you have. Doesn't matter if it's a perishable product or a clothing item or a product such as a camcorder. Whatever you write that book about, you're establishing yourself as the expert. And one of the things that we want to make sure we put out there as an additional tip is to drive traffic to your website. It's okay to put things out in the media and tell people, hey, follow me on this page or that page, but you want them to go to your website, because your website is where you live. That is where all of the material you've created exists. Yes. That's where all of your tabs that locate everything else that you've created and outlined for the world is. And you want to have people to come there so they can have options on what they want to use from what you've created. On your social sites, they don't have that information, but they do have your social sites on your website. So that's where we want to drive traffic. We want to drill it.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing that myself and Kurinn started doing, because at first we were doing all of our events on Eventbrite. I love Eventbrite because it tracks analytics very well, especially when people are coming from different avenues. You know who's coming from Twitter, Facebook, wherever. But we made the decision to not take money for events or whatever we're doing from Eventbrite and drive the traffic to our website.
Yes.
Because guess what? Once that person goes to your event to purchase a ticket or something like that, it prompts them to go on to look at your website.
Surf the site.
That's
and
right.
Just try your best to minimize the number of tabs you have on your site, because if there's so much, if it's overwhelming, they will not visit everything. They'll probably look through a couple and then move on to something a little bit more simplified. So the more simplified and defined you can have it, the better.
Right.
And last but not least, bartering services
Yes.
is a great way to cross-market, because some companies have a need that you may be able to meet. And if you can't meet it, you may be able to meet one of their needs, and you never know how that relationship can blossom in the future and what can come from it.
That's
so
right.
we encourage bartering, but we don't encourage if you do not know how to barter. So because
Yes.
that can be a little
It makes the situation very uncomfortable.
It can. So make sure that you study up on how to barter, or
Right.
you can take a workshop from us and we'll teach you how, because we've made some very successful collaborations
Yes.
through bartering services where it works for everyone.
Yeah, and it also
Yeah.
helps to build relationships. I mean, it's one thing to work with somebody, but when you start bartering services, it helps you to stay in constant contact with the other entrepreneurs that you're dealing with, and it helps to build relationships. So when there's something else or another need that arises from either party, there's no question. We have several business partners and relationships, collaborative relationships that we form. And, I'm working on a new venture, and, I asked my collaborator, hey, is there a fee for this service? He told me, for you, no fee. I'll just, mentor you along the way. And I was like so honored and humbled at the same time, because it shows that we've built a relationship together.
And it also, that relationship establishes accountability.
Yes.
And sometimes it is okay for there to be payment exchanged in, parts of what you're bartering for, if there's a service that requires multiple parts to it. So if there is a piece of it that you have to pay for, that's okay.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if it's done correctly, you can barter a service and get exactly what you need. So we're going to just, make sure that everyone understands it starts with a compelling story. What is your company about? What is your story? And does your website reflect that? If I visit your site right now, am I going to see the image that you're painting? Or am I going to paint my own image based on what I see?
And JV partnerships are another way to really add fuel to the fire for your marketing ability. Because guess what? Everybody has several followers. Once you guys connect and they start marketing your stuff to their followers, it's like, man, it's like
become
cake.
Your followers. Yes, it's a bigger audience.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's our show.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Changing Lives 365. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CL365.
_
Next time.
See you. Bye-bye.